Hey, it's Sandy Freshie, and I'm back with another video about the Spleen Center. And today we're talking about the spleen and intuition. In traditional human design, the Spleen Center is known as an awareness center, meaning that you are able to filter the awareness of what it takes to survive and stay safe through the energy of the spleen. So the spleen gives you subtle signals about what's safe, what's not, what's healthy, what's not, and what you need to survive. It speaks in the moment, and it speaks very quietly. So a lot of times I get the question from especially my clients who are defined in the spleen. They read or they hear that the spleen is a center that speaks very quietly. You know, a lot of them have the spleen center as their decision-making authority. They make their decisions through the cues that they get from the spleen. And then the question comes, well, how do I listen to that if it's so quiet? And if you go back and listen or watch some of my videos about the spleen and health and the ones I've done so far, you can kind of get some clues about what you need to do to take care of your body to connect with your splenic response or your splenic voice. Also, what you can do is to begin to learn about the defined gates and channels that come off of the spleen, because each of those gates and channels can tell you something about how you filter that information and awareness. So you may either know information in the moment, you may hear it in the moment, you may see patterns, you may even actually smell things. Like you may have this intuition for smelling, either literally or figuratively. Or you may just be wired for the instinct of knowing what it takes to be successful. So when you get to know that definition in those gates and channels, then you can begin to understand that, yes, I filter my intuition this way, or I experience my intuition for survival in this other way. I'm maybe clairaudient, to talk about some of the terms that intuitives use. Maybe I'm clairolfactant, I guess is what you would call it when you smell things out. Or maybe you're clairvoyant in knowing, just knowing things in the moment. So whatever it is, however you're wired to have this splenic awareness, especially if you have a defined spleen, pay attention to the way that the gates and the channels operate, the way that your defined gates and channels operate. Now, if you're undefined in the spleen, it doesn't mean that you don't have intuition. And there are also other markers in the chart that would show you where you're intuitive, or where you potentially pick up information about other people or things that you cannot necessarily see and experience physically. And we've talked about that in terms of your open centers, or I've talked around it at least. I'll talk some more in the future about it. But if you have an undefined spleen center, it doesn't mean that you don't have intuition. Or that you're, as somebody I used to work with used the term that you're a psychic potato, meaning that she felt like she didn't have any psychic or intuitive wisdom. It doesn't mean that at all. It actually means that you do filter the awareness energy of other people who have definition in the spleen. So you do have access to the intuition, or the potential for intuition and awareness that's there, but you can't trust it on a regular basis, and you can't trust it as yours. Remember, you're taking the energy in, you're feeling it very strongly, it belongs to someone else, and you can know intuitively a whole lot about them, about their health, their well-being, perhaps even their fears. But if you take it in and internalize it as your own, then you're going to get misinformation about what you're filtering in terms of awareness. So to recap, if you're defined, you have a consistent way of experiencing intuitive awareness for survival through the Spleen Center. And you can learn a little bit more about what that intuition is about, how you experience that intuition through your defined gates and channels. And if you're undefined, you still pick up that intuitive awareness, but you can't rely on it because you're picking up the intuitive awareness about other people's splenic themes. So that's what I wanted to share with you today about the spleen and intuition. I've got a workshop coming up fairly soon called the Splenic Clinic. It's going to be a series of meetings where we can explore your splenic issues in terms of health, well-being, vitality, intuition, and even decision making. So stay tuned for more, and until the next time, be well.